bring Glenn Ignazio in on this, retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Glenn, as you probably heard, we were talking about it a minute ago. We're waiting for the president in the East Room on this education announcement. Could start any minute now. Like, a few quick comments on this, though, with, it's back on the war in Gaza. What's next?
Yeah, sure is. Hamas launched about 3 rockets. Wasn't much, but Israel is really full on, not only with the attacks the other day, but they've started with some of the ground troops and trying to cut a corridor off between the north and the south. And when you got the IDF defense minister saying basically, hey, this was your last warning, you are going to handle or receive worse than ever before. And that doesn't say much is on the line for getting to another ceasefire.
What would you say about the hostages? An interesting conversation the other night. I'm not going to play a clip from it because we're waiting on the president, but we had the dad of Idan Alexander on, the American hostage is still in Gaza. And, he's very, very supportive of President Trump. He was very, I think, aggressive in his mindset about what needs to happen to Hamas and in Gaza, but also at the same time frustrated with Prime Minister Netanyahu, feeling as if he might not have a plan and questioning what that plan would be. What would you say to these hostage families after they've been through so much?
Oh, it's hard. Been involved in a negotiation before, and I mean, every day is just a living hell for them, and especially with this situation now, because we saw the hostages coming out in pretty poor shape.
Yeah.
So it's one of those concerns about how long do they have to go, like it or not. But at the same time, far right is in Israel is sort of stepped away when the ceasefire happened, and they're back because the war started. I mean, this is a really tough situation. And the hostages that were held said when they heard the bombs falling from the IDF, they knew that their imminent release was not imminent anymore. So you got to think from the hostages standpoint, they're in a tough situation. The families are in a tough situation. And now that the assaults have started, it took a year for this last ceasefire. So there's going to be a duration. It is really the worst situation. I wish they would just let them go and end this, but it doesn't seem to be the case right now.
Hamas doesn't seem to want to do that, obviously. But what about Netanyahu? Do you think he does have a plan, or when it comes to the hostages?
Well, they've got a new chief staff as far as the military is concerned. I think he's going full on. I mean, he's really pulled the trigger. I mean, assaulting like never before. So I think that's going to be the case to try to wipe out Hamas's infrastructure. But I mean, again, we've been doing this they've been doing it, for more than a year, rather intensely. The Houthis are being held in place by America. Hezbollah's backed off. But this Hamas situation, if you take a look at the hostages that were released before, the Palestinians and Hamas are so galvanized and tight together, where you saw those celebrations,
Yeah.
So it is a tough situation. I think he's going full on militarily until there's a release of the hostages, and I really don't see that happening.
Well, it's this idea
that's the only negotiation.
Completely eliminating Hamas, which he's consistently said since October 7th, right? That's his goal. That's what he wants to do. And we've had conversations over that entire time frame about whether that is, a practical, realistic goal, or you're talking about, as we've said, an ideology that can never be completely eliminated. I know militarily they've already done a lot of damage, right? How do you actually see that debate about whether, his goals are realistic?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. We've talked about this. You can destroy that infrastructure, you can destroy their supplies, but that ideology, which is Hamas, I think the phrase we've used is you may have killed a terrorist today, but you created terrorists tomorrow with all the assaults and the damage in Gaza. You have that youth that's going to grow up anti-Israel, like it or not.
Yeah.
But you see that Hamas that says, hey, look, we'll give to the Palestinian Authority or even other politicians, but Hamas isn't going to disappear. So what is it that Israel is going to do? And I think that it's the destruction is going to continue. And I really don't know what that deciding factor is. We thought this would be over some time ago.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.